30 years ago.
Good evening and welcome.
This is Pranay Roy.
Also tonight we have a special report from the Universities of America on the amazing world of email and how Indian students are hooked onto the system.
Come on!
From the world's first email to the latest flagship gadgets that ride high on technology.
This is the show you've been waiting for.
One network has been at the helm of everything tech.
What did I say?
With more than 600 episodes, we have unveiled the gadgets that have shaped technology around the world.
This is Las Vegas, San Francisco, and London, in New York, called Spain, Barcelona.
And all the tech fun.
We love Gadget Guru.
We love Gadget Guru.
NDTV is leading as the destination for technology programming.
Come on!
And now, it is time to pull back the curtains and put what we love on center stage. Corning Gorilla Glass presents NDTV Tech Conclave 2018.
You know, the world of technology has many unique things, innovations that are truly out of the box. But once in a while, is there an event that is actually even more out of the box than the devices, the products, and the technology around it. And that's the final conclusion that we had for the NDTV Tech Conclave 2018. By far the biggest attendance, live attendance of any tech event, by far the most interesting content that has ever got created, and the demo area, the experience areas had lines that snaked almost half a kilometer. So I think putting all that together makes it one of the most successful events. But why am I talking when I can actually show you?
This is India's answer to CES in Vegas. This is India's answer to IFA in Berlin, Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. This is a tech conclave of truly international standard. Our objective today with this is don't change the rules of the game, change the game itself.
The very, very best of gadgets and the very best of discussions around them.
This is India's first ever and largest technology conclave. God bless you all for being here.
Now, right in the beginning, I did tell you one of the best attended events ever. But it was also the people that were on stage in the panel discussions, those who actually gave the keynotes, that really made this event a step up from anything else.
Beelines, massive queues, and tons of tech. The most buzzing area at the Tech Conclave was the experiential zone where people got to test, hold, and experience gadgets for themselves. Right from one of the most expensive headphones in the world, the HE ones by Sennheiser that are worth 45 lakh rupees, to the latest smart speakers in the market, the new Google Home. People flocked to the experiential zone to get their hands on some amazing tech. A virtual reality demo zone set up by HTC for the HTC Vive was a massive crowd puller too. And who could miss the big gorilla that you could take a selfie with? Well, Corning Gorilla Glass displayed the tech behind the tough glass used on most smartphones and even gave away many prizes to some lucky winners.
If you are getting it for free, you are the product.
The only difference in the charging station was that the electricity was not coming from an electrical plug, it was coming from a laptop. So we copied their data.
It only takes an NDTV to kind of pull something like this off. Very few other people are actually thinking with that kind of vision, and I think Rajiv and Vikram especially are at the helm of things. They are driving this whole thing forward in terms of the future and what technology holds for youngsters, for everybody, and I think it's a great initiative.
There is AI embedded in every gadget around you.
Job losses is one. Propaganda using AI ML tools.
Where Mark Zuckerberg was testifying in front of Senator, what if this kind of data is given to an AI which has just started learning?
And there's a lot of exchange of ideas happening. What is our future? What is that actually going to drive our life around? There's a serious dialogue that is happening, which is very, very encouraging. It's never happened in India before.
Body hacking, fitness data, every workout of yours perfectly analyzed. But can tech really get you the perfect body? Old school versus the next big thing. We find out how and where the future of fitness lies.
think it's been great. It's nice that NDTV has managed to get so many people from all walks of life, the youth as well as the elderly and businessmen, because I think fitness is on the rise right now and we need to see people from all walks of life coming together for these events, just to create more awareness and to understand whether they're doing the right things or whether they're not doing anything at all.
According to my technology, a number of push-ups.
What's really interesting is that NDTV is putting together technology companies and lots of content creators and connecting them to consumers, and really how technology, can be used to bring entertainment to the masses.
Come on, it's a fitness and technology talk. I mean, what did you think I'm going to ask you to do out here?
The response was really good. I mean, it was very, very encouraging, and they were like absorbing everything that each one of us was saying. So, when you have an audience like that who reciprocates in that way, or who takes in what you're telling them, it always encourages you more.
It was my first actually ever. I never done anything like this before, and but also as much I love sport and fitness, so it was great to talk about fitness.
Why do we feel nostalgic about old songs?
It's not easy to put these kind of things together, getting people from all over the world to talk, and getting experts and professionals, dates, there's just so many variables. But there's so many other streams available now for them to pursue. So it's nice for them to come and see it and hear it from professionals who are in the business. So that will give them some kind of direction and a kind of, like a roadmap as to what they can do.
This is India's first ever and largest technology conclave.
To be honest, I'm completely surprised and blown off by just the scale of this event, and I can only expect NDTV to pull off something like this on this level and this scale with a panel of experts which is this distinguished. So I think it's a great initiative by NDTV, and I hope that may they have more of these in the future.
Now, one of the big questions that was asked all through the event was, of course, the partners for the event, that was Corning Gorilla Glass. A tech event of this magnitude, and why Corning Gorilla Glass? Well, the two keynote speakers from Corning gave us brilliant answers right on stage.
It's truly an honor to speak at an event which is so meaningful. We have technology leaders, business owners, industry advocates coming together today to discuss the latest innovations that are advancing right here, right now in India. When we take a few steps back from our daily routine of waking, working, eating, watching cricket, sleeping, as our teenagers would say, OMG. Technology is at our fingertips. Technologies that our kids may take for granted, but someday will come to appreciate. What an incredible time to be alive, and what a very cool way to make a living. Let's look at a very simple example. Smartphones. In 1993, the Newton shows up. And for those who aren't familiar with the Newton, it was a fairly radical personal assistant that could keep phone numbers and addresses on an electronic device and aspirationally recognize handwriting. We can all argue how effective it was. It was archaic by today's standards, but it was quite novel at the time. In 18 years, the industry rushed through the Palm Pilot, the flip phone, the BlackBerry. Then 10 short years ago, Apple introduced the first touch smartphone and introduced us to the world of apps. So Apple essentially disrupted a disruptive industry.
I figured since this is a technology event, I thought we could have a little fun with science, specifically glass science. So if I were to ask you what is the single most important property of glass, you would probably say it's transparency. And you would be partially correct. Yes, transparency has reshaped our lives. Just look around us in our cars and our homes. But today, I'm here to break that simple view of glass. In this new phase of hyper-innovation, I believe glass will play an ever larger role, and is why I think we're entering a new glass age.
Now, having mastered the properties of clear glass, we discovered how to shape glass in such a way that it could magnify and bend light. In the 13th century, we began to see the introduction of the first eyeglasses, which had the secondary effect of driving demand for reading materials and eventually led to the printing press. And by the 17th century, we applied glass lenses into new complex arrangements to magnify light. This led to the invention of the microscope and the telescope within the same time period,
which helped to accelerate the advancement of fundamental science by Galileo and Newton. Scientists estimate that glass has a theoretical strength of more than 15 gigapascals. Now, most of us don't carry around a scale that measures pascals. So to help illustrate this, imagine a scale that can measure the pressure on underneath one elephant's foot. In order to reach 1 gigapascal, you'd have to stack up 10,000 elephants. That's pretty amazing. So how is it the Gorilla Glass is so resistant to damage and scratches? Well, the way we solve this problem is a prime example of hyper-innovation. We combine 3 technical elements. First, we created an entirely new aluminosilicate glass composition. We leveraged the glass process, the fusion draw process, to create precise thin sheets. And we used a chemical tempering process known as ion exchange. Let me take a minute to explain the strengthening process a little more. The ion exchange process involves replacing very small sodium ions that are in the glass with much larger potassium ions in a salt bath, literally stuffing the ions into the glass. You could imagine cricket balls being replaced with much larger basketballs. This process creates a state of high compressive stress deep into the glass surface.
Let's move on now to show you what happened on stage. I think some very interesting panel discussions, some very, very interesting debates. And the first one, which many people said was the best of the entire lot, was technology and fitness. Can fitness truly make you the fittest person you've ever been? Amount of calories, amount that you won't need to burn, the number of steps, the amount of miles or kilometers you need to walk every day. Let's find out from each of you how much of tech and fitness comes into your personal life. I'll start with you, Amanda.
So I started wearing the Fitbit for, I think, a couple of months. But it made me so conscious of, counting my steps, what I eat, where all that. So I decided to stop wearing it. And I don't wear it anymore. And I mainly start listening to my body, how I feel, and if I feel I've done enough exercise, then I was good. But then again, getting back to your question about technology, I start training EMS, which is helping me a lot. And instead of working out for 60 minutes or 45 minutes, I do around 28 to 30 minutes of EMS, and is just giving me the fantastic result, to be honest.
Rajat, you're of course known as one of the people that uses a lot of technology in fitness, okay, but also is kind of against the whole idea, right? So which is the real Rajat?
So I started using polar heart rate monitors way back in 2003, 2004. Used it regularly for a couple of years. But as time went on, I think we all evolve as people. You don't need a machine or like a watch to tell you how your heart rate is doing. I used to be able to tell my pace of running 10 seconds difference. So like, hey, am I doing a 4:15 or a 4:30 or 4:45? I could by the feel of it. And there's a very good study that's come out recently saying about breathing is more important rather than looking at the heart rate. So if you can actually be aware of breathing.
So Yasmin, almost the same question for you. Who's more fit, Deepika Padukone or Katrina Kaif? Okay, no, I'm just kidding. I'll come to that later. No, we will put her on the spot on that one, but not right now. So Yasmin, personally in your life, tech and fitness, how much of a role does it play?
So I think, I've been wearing the Fitbit for a really long time, and it helps me because when I'm training, and I teach a lot of Pilates, after about an hour, my watch tells me you have 170 steps to take because you've not completed 250. So even though I'm standing all the time, I'm not moving that much.
Correct.
So it's a great reminder to tell me to move.
Goki may be one of the more revolutionary things that has happened recently because they just took something which is a wearable and then created an ecosystem around it that I think is no one else in the world has it. Would you say that it's the data and the technology that enables it all, or is it the entire ecosystem? What, according to you, is the more important factor here?
I think it's the ecosystem, because we have enough of wearable technology and people get data. But what do you do with the data once
Correct.
you have it? Data
Right.
just remains data unless you utilize it the right way. So I think in the ecosystem, you have a coach who can look at your data and, based on your fitness goal, they can guide you. Because it's really not just about getting steps. People get steps, but their hydration levels are still low.
Right.
They get steps, but they're still roaming around with vitamin deficiencies. So it's not about steps, it's about getting steps in a body which has the right vitamin levels, the right amount of rest and recovery, the right nutrition going in. So people use bands, and we have data coming in where they say we walk 10,000 steps every day, but we don't lose weight. And then we look at their nutrition, and the answer's there.
Now I'll tell you what, let's take this now and take it to several notches up. It's time for quickfire, okay? So I'll come to each of you, same question, but you have to answer immediately, okay? Ready? Yep. All right. Most fit, okay, no, I'm starting from this side. Sure. Most fit Bollywood person, female.
Katrina Kaif.
Okay, most fit Bollywood person, female.
Katrina
Kaif. Okay, that's 2.
Pass.
Pass? No, there are no passes here at all. I thought there's some Bollywood
No.
actor or
I
actress
can't be
known
on
as
an
pass.
NDTV show and get into trouble.
We'll edit this one. This one we'll edit, okay? We have to know, this is a personal opinion. They will not hate you for it.
Shilpa Shetty.
Shilpa Shetty, all right.
Shilpa.
Shilpa Shetty. So it's 2-all. So let's do a quick show of hands for who beats who. No, we'll do. Most fit Bollywood person, male. You cannot say Salman Khan.
Akshay Kumar.
Akshay Kumar, okay.
Amir Khan, maybe?
Amir Khan, okay.
Akshay Kumar.
Akshay Kumar.
Akshay.
So Akshay wins this one, hands down. Okay. According to you, and this is just personally your own fitness part, not to do with any hi-fi this thing. Greatest fitness myth.
The crunches give you a six-pack.
The number of people who how many hearts and crunches broke right now? Do you realize all of them who were thinking, after very, very inspired talk out here, I'll go outside as soon as I get a small break and do a few crunches, you just broke their hearts. But he's absolutely right, crunches cannot give you a six-pack. One of the more fascinating things about technology is how quickly it changes. In fact, a lot of people struggle to keep up now. But one part of the technology world has been static for a long, long time. Many people say centuries. That started to change with a vengeance. We're talking about audio, sound. So what is the future of sound? Well, we had a fantastic panel tell us all.
Now let's come to the experience of actually listening to sound. That is where we keep on trying to push the bar. It used to be stereo sound and surround sound and Atmos, and who knows what we are coming to next. What are we coming to next?
So just to talk about, I think, the perspectives that, Rasool, Ishan, and KJ talked about, I think from Dolby perspective, and we have a rich heritage of innovation around sound technology, we think of 3 key things around this issue. I think the number one for us is artistic intent. The intent that a content creator has, how do you preserve and how do you get that across without the least amount of, artifacts or, from a technical perspective in the most pristine quality. The second one is accessibility. We've all talked about how, content is being consumed, not just in the living room, not in the cinema, but on the go. And there are more and more devices where content is being consumed, entertainment is consumed. And, and that brings to, so that how do you make that entertainment accessible? But in the past, accessibility came with a degradation of the experience, that you had a poor experience if you were listening to something on your mobile, for example.
But just to look at it from the point of view what's been discussed so far, from the experience. Now, 30 years ago, experience used to be a single radio which you used to switch on, you had to hear whatever people were putting out. Then it became the CD, and now, of course, it's Pandora, Spotify, all sorts of different ways of being done. How has technology really changed the experience, and it's continuing to do so?
I think it's changed monumentally because, first of all, you have to understand that for so many years, maybe 2 or 3 decades now, since the beginning of time and the beginning of surround sound in terms of time, we have been used to hearing sound in the X-axis, which means that anybody who owned a 5.1 channel home theater or any sort of speaker system, they were always in the X-axis, which is in front of you or side of you or behind you. it's only now with the advent of Dolby Atmos and maybe other competing formats for immersive sound, we are hearing sound for the very first time on the y-axis, which means we are hearing sound from above us. In fact, there are experiments going on with sound that are also placing speakers on the floor, subwoofers, and also other speakers that could actually give you atmospheric cues from the floor.
But are you increasingly finding, as he's saying, you can't replicate in live music what somebody is hearing at home because there's so many aspects of post-production that go into it?
See, I think artificial intelligence can replace everything except the human intent, you know. So the same thing we deal with when in reproduction. So people come to a theater to watch film. The experience of filmmaking is watching picture and sound.
Yeah.
What is the technical standard to follow in that particular, within that spectrum? That's not been, you know, stipulated. So it is a field where like the business dictate what it wants to do, you know. So however good you do a mix or however good you create, trying to create an emotional experience, how it is reaching to an audience is a huge issue as far as I am concerned. Yeah. I don't see that problem with a writer. I don't see that problem with a painter or a musician for me, for example, to a certain extent.
Being a live performer myself, you know, what we do is that, you know, very often the songs that we've used a lot of technology, we've used a lot of programming, we've used a lot of synthesizers and stuff. Now, you can create that live if you take that many musicians on the road, which, I mean, of course, the budget doesn't permit. So you run a laptop with all the separate tracks that you've recorded, and, you know, you run that live, and it pretty much comes close to what, you know, I mean, look at DJs. What they do on albums is what they perform live. You know, it's just one pen drive stuck into a laptop, and you've got the same music playing again, you know. We still use the -1 track running at the back, and we play live on top. Of course, we've extended sections of it so we can give it the human touch of playing like a guitar solo or a piano solo or something like that. But basically, we run that to create the same kind of experience.
We are now being able to reproduce sound, even in a home theater, in a home stereo system. You're actually getting really, really good quality sound at much lower price points. That's the good news. Second problem is, though, as more and more technologies come inside it, and y-axis and binaural and the rest of it, the challenges of standardization become much worse.
No, I think standardization is a challenge, and I think there are various aspects to it. I mean, there's obviously an economic aspect to the standardization challenge also. We do see audio capabilities in terms of devices going up. You know, it's becoming more mainstream. Consumers are demanding. I mean, we hear from our customers, even in cinema, that consumers now ask for a better audio experience. Now, that wasn't probably true a few years ago. So there is more awareness level that's coming in with the consumer. I think the availability of, you know, devices, experiences going up. And then there's an affordability aspect also. So I think, yes, while you can have it at the 50 lakhs and the pristine, but then how do you get a great experience on that 5,000 rupees Amazon Echo? And can that fill up your room?
Will our greatest invention be our last ever invention? It's a cliche that is being spoken about again and again. Will artificial intelligence combined with robotics make sure that we have no jobs and eventually the machines will take over? Well, this and a whole lot more is explored on stage.
You know, I want to first try and see, let's get some of the stereotypes out of the way. Manish, I began by outlining two scenarios. One is the nice, friendly robot looking after my life. May well happen, but that's one hypothesis. And then we have the Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking view that you guys are unleashing some artificial general intelligence system about the world which is going to wipe us out. Before I come to real AI, the way it's actually transforming our lives, are either of those two scenarios possible, feasible, likely, desirable?
Well, thanks for inviting me here. Either scenario is possible, yes, possible, but in what time frame, how they will come, etc. So I think the majority of our lifespan is going to be, as you said, somewhere in between.
Prashanta?
Well, you know, I think there will be controls, and it's up to us to put in controls, overrides, escalations, and things like that. I think it's important to look at what AI is and isn't. It is not just automation. There is an intelligence aspect. For example, you know, you can do trading, even high-frequency trading, with rules. Okay, that's not necessarily AI. two computers could be talking to each other and trade 10,000 times in the first 5 seconds, following just rules. When you add AI to that mix, you add learning. You add the ability to respond to something without necessarily referring to a rule. Now, if you allow that to go out of control, it could blow up a few $1 million in seconds because it's learned something which isn't a very great thing without those controls. So you will want to put in controls. And sure, you can fail to do those, and that's not a great thing. But I suspect we will keep putting those controls in, such as with driverless cars.
Okay, so in fact, why don't I just get you to help us understand what AI actually is? Because this is something which a lot of people don't fully understand. Where do rule-based systems end? What is machine learning? What is deep learning? These are all different ways of looking at AI. And because the aim of this is also to educate a little bit, maybe we can get you to slip into professor mode for a couple of seconds. What is the difference between various types of AI?
Sure. So let me just throw some terms. First is AI, artificial intelligence, which is talked about a lot. Then there is something called machine learning. And then most hyped term these days is deep learning. Let me just break down all these three terms. So first is artificial intelligence. That's just a broad term for every kind of technology that just mimics human behavior to some extent. Then there is machine learning. Machine learning are algorithms which are able to learn from data. For example, all the things that you talked about, right? Self-driving cars, normal automation in manufacturing. So these things are happening using machine learning. Then there's deep learning. Deep learning is just the extreme form of machine learning, which is actually driving the most of the innovation these days.
Manish, do you want to add anything to that? That's actually a fair way of summarizing it. And we have, over the decades, seen many AI springs and AI winters. Everyone thinks AI is going to change the world, and suddenly 2-3 years later, you say, actually, it's not doing anything, it's not really working, forget all about it. And then you go to sleep for a couple of years, and then again you wake up. So are we in an AI spring right now because of deep learning, as he said, which is machines, computers are better, algorithms are better, they're being able to train themselves a little better. Is this a permanent spring, or could it again fizzle out, like so many others have?
So let me step back and give you another spin of how AI can be explained in a slightly non-technical terms, right? So we all know that computers are very good in rule-based systems, but humans are actually very good at pattern-based decision-making. So just to explain that concept, suppose we take a kid and show him or her pictures of 10 different cats, and you show another picture, the kid most likely will be able to recognize that it's a cat or not. Now, if you break this process down inside the mind of the kid is not going that has 4 legs, it has whiskers, it has legs, and therefore it's a cat. Based on the pictures, the kid has formed some sort of a model, and then it's able to apply that model on a new input and recognize that as a cat or not. So this is a fundamental difference of pattern-based versus rule-based. Human beings are generally very good at pattern-based, and machines are generally very good at rule-based.
You know, if I could just come to where pattern-based systems like this have really started to transform the world. Let's come to photography, just as one example of that. Today, everyone is taking pictures. You can see your phone is categorizing them based on this is your friend. You can recognize a picture of your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife. It automatically is tagging them. You can actually upgrade photos with absolutely no problems with filters. You can make yourself look 1,000,000 times better if you ever should choose to do that. There's AI behind all of that now.
Yeah, I mean, what has really dramatically changed that photography used to be this great mystery about either you were a rich kid who could afford a camera, or you were a professional or an amateur. And then there was this big, huge wall. And the minute this thing arrived on your phone, everybody's a photographer. And I think, obviously, technology has been a very major part behind it because it takes care of all the technical bits of it. But it doesn't take care of how you see it. Because, you know, photography is really about human experience. And human experience is different because each of us have different experience because that's what we are as human beings. So I think it has made one part extremely easy. In fact, what artificial intelligence is doing is now it's actually helping you create that experience. So they will take, let's say, a picture of a bird. You shoot a bird in a certain way. It'll go in there and, you know, through online or whatever, they're going to scan thousands and thousands of pictures of birds,
And it's going to influence finally how your picture is framed, how it's cropped, how it's highlighted, what the contrast looks like, what the background looks like, how it goes out of focus, so your subject pops up. So, these are things which are what technology is really making a huge change.
I love the next one that happened on stage, a panel discussion that became a serious debate. And the reason I loved it is because the tagline itself was so melodramatic. And I love melodrama. It said, is that phone in your pocket a ticking time bomb? Because the amount of things you do with your phone, from documents to photographs to passwords, all the apps that you have, your life is in the phone. But do you ever think about the security or the privacy angle? We had a very, very interesting panel that I think kind of got a little out of hand. So let's get started with where we are. Rajan, I'm going to start off with you. The mobile phone, and of course, the incredible organization that you're part of. How bad do you think the situation is? The first question I always get is, we're just creating panic.
It's pretty widespread, because if you ask this congregation or this audience, how many of you folks have smartphones, just about everybody will raise their hand. And if you ask the same crowd, how many of you folks have a firewall installed, a sort of a software that protects you in some form? Only about 2%, we've tried this over and over again, 2% say, they'll lift up their hands and they say, we have some type of a
something
protection.
that actually is security.
And they're carrying an advanced computer in their pockets, which they would never think of doing on a laptop or on desktop, but they feel completely compelled on a smartphone to not have that type of
But why do you think that is? Why is it? Is it just because it's in your hand, you feel it's very personal and protected? Because I've got people who've actually answered this saying, but it's always with me, so how is it insecure?
I think it's this transition from voice to data. I think people, when they've used the voice, never had to bother about this type of intervention and hacking and all of this. And all of a sudden they think, hey, moving over to a same phone and it's data enabled, all of a sudden should give me the same types of protections and lack of vulnerability, which is not the case, because you've really moved and taken a quantum leap from two very different networks. And I think that's what causes this false sense of safety and not doing the essential hygiene that is required when you're in this new data networked environment.
I think it's pretty worse, because the entire landscape of security threat has changed in the last 10 years, from those dinosaur-sized computers to laptops, then to tablets, and today to mobile phones. That's the most lucrative option for hackers. A, because if you are clocked by a ransomware on your computer, and compared to a mobile phone, you're more likely to pay a higher price for unlocking your mobile phone.
Correct.
Number two, the quantum of personal data you can steal from a mobile phone is much more lucrative than from a PC, because if you hack a computer, at best you can find some documents or photos maybe, but if you take over a smartphone, your entire gallery, contact book, locations of your entire lifetime, what all accounts you have, screenshots, WhatsApp, and you're looking, your life will be taken off like a live web camera, and a hacker would have everything you do. And, things you can't even imagine, you wouldn't ever remember in your life, that where were you 3 years back on this day at this point of time. But the location log, everything can be stolen. And it's more easier to hack a smartphone than to hack a PC today.
I think data with smartphone is a big, big threat. And as we move on, if you look at the sort of beast that we are dealing with, there are two big giants there, which we have to be wary of when we use a smartphone. One is the companies to whom we give data, because they are out selling data, which is as good as hacking. Because nobody comes in and hacks, but the data is sold and they use it. This is one. The second thing is actual hacking. When you look at the first beast, that is when the companies sell data, we actually sign a consent form where we give away the entire data. It is sold virtually. There is nothing. Our whole soul, dignity, our right to life, our privacy, everything is sold to them. So that's a dangerous terrain. But when we look at the app perspective, the company that deals with the app, it is not there for free. So they use our data, they harvest our data, and that's how they make money, big money. It's like a symbiotic relationship. I give my data, and then I take the facilities of Facebook, and that's how I start conversing with the world, and I use it for various purposes. But there's one hitch here, one difficulty here. It's like the British who came here, and initially they asked Jahangir for a small ferment to trade, and finally they gobbled us up. So the larger perspective is, that what began as a symbiotic relationship now today is enough to gobble us.
Alex, I think you're a very interesting person to have on this panel because that's what BlackBerry really stands for, right? What are your thoughts? And once again, the final question, is it as bad as we make it?
There definitely will be more widespread hacking of phones. We certainly saw that happen through the PC industry. We're already seeing that now on phones, and that will continue to grow. But I think one of the other nefarious parts, particularly when we talk about privacy, is the information that's collected by apps that you're not even aware of. So it's one thing if you go onto Facebook or Instagram and you sign up and you hopefully understand what you're signing up for. And you can go on the website, as you should, and double check what type of information they have about you. It's fascinating. But there are many applications out there which collect data about you and upload them to websites that you have no idea it's going on. And I think that's one of those key areas of privacy that is so important. At BlackBerry, we've built an application called Detect, which actually allows you to see what applications on your phone are accessing what parts of your phone. So not only your photographs or perhaps your email or storage, but what's accessing your location, what's turning on your microphone or your camera. And you'd be surprised at the type of applications that have permission to do things like that that you may have no idea about.
I'm working for a startup, so just want to know, is it ethical or not? I'm creating a chat bot to engage a girlfriend for an hour and hour.
A girlfriend or whose girlfriend? See, ethical or not, we will know once you know whose girlfriend are you going to be engaging for.
As per Indian laws, is perfectly fine because this issue was discussed at BP-R&D conference or DGIG conference last year. That earlier for all the hacks, all the phishing, we were always trying to catch some individual. Tomorrow you may figure out that person who cheated you and the girl whom you have been chatting with for the last 4 or 5 years turned out to be a bot. Second, it's a public service. It's a public service. To keep engaged, knocking girlfriend that where you are, how are you, lunch khaya kya. So if it can reply, बहुत अच्छा खाना बना था, why not? It's a public service. I'm sure it's a good business model.
When you have an event of this magnitude, you've got to end with a big bang, which is why the big fight on the NDTV network became the tech big fight for the first ever time. Lots of interesting people on the panel. I was there, Vikram Chandra, lots of other people joined us. But I think it was the two people from the two political parties that completely lost the plot.
One of the biggest challenges that I faced after I took over social media was undoing all the fake propaganda that they had started in 2014 against the Congress party, and I'm still going through it. And I think that we already have some regulations in terms of, defamation and, if someone has said something false in their article or something, that you can actually sue them. So we do have that. I don't see why we need more regulation. And if Smriti Irani wants to start, then it has to start with herself and the BJP party.
She's talking about regulation, what her government is doing. She has actually, I'm sure it had her blessings. One of our guys were arrested for 16, 17 days as if he's a terrorist. And a lot of guys were served notice. They have been running around. Maybe they will be getting arrested a day or two later on. At the same time, there was a Rahul Gandhi speech about MRIs getting connected. I think everybody would have seen. Now, I'm served notice from Congress party. Why have you uploaded that video in your channel? It is a copyright notice, take it down, and they had actually taken it down saying it is a copyright notice. So they don't want us to see any embarrassing Congress videos. So this is what they do when they get the power in terms of technology or things like that. Divya says, and her statement
Actually,
is...
I have to congratulate both political parties. You give us so much of entertainment. It is unbelievable. I swear. I mean, from Modi's sense of history to Rahul's sense of technology, I bless both you parties and may God give you more power.
But what he did say on the MRI
Political parties are not supposed to be giving us entertainment. Political parties are supposed to be giving us governance.
No, on a serious note, it's a very valid point, but on a serious note, think about this. Here, Narendra Modi's YouTube channel gives you free right to download his video, manipulate it, and use it for free.
He has a YouTube channel also.
Yeah, Narendra Modi has a YouTube, one of the most popular one.
Hang on.
And Rahul Gandhi's YouTube channel is YouTube copyright. So if you use it, they will choose whether they want you to keep it or not.
What you just said can't factually be correct.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, Sohail, I'm working on it, I promise you. It's coming next week. Okay, hang on. You just said anybody can download videos of Narendra Modi, manipulate them, and then publish them. I'm sure you won't like it if somebody did that.
No, manipulate in the sense use it as a free.
In BJP, when they use the word manipulate, it means use. You've got to understand the English.
No. The problem is...
He said it. I didn't say it. He said it.
No. Think about it. The way Rahul Gandhi's YouTube channel is figured, so if you use it and they come to know that it is causing them embarrassment, they will get it deleted.
Okay.
How good is it for a public speaker?
Okay, can I get Divya in? Because I've been very softly hearing her going on saying to my left, he's lying. So I'm thinking I should give her a chance to say why you're saying that.
So for example, right, last night Rahul Gandhi had tweeted about the candlelight march at India Gate, and a lot of people turned out, and NDTV in fact took some of our pictures and you gave us credit for it. You said tweeted by INC India. So the only reason why we've asked people to pull down videos is to inform them that if you're using my content, we want
you to... just to threaten them, you cannot make fun of Rahul Gandhi.
What do you mean?
And I'm not afraid.
What are you saying, dude?
Yes, I can show you the notice.
You know,
I can show you the notice that is on my mobile.
Why can't you say copyright Congress Party and then have the picture of Rahul Gandhi?
Exactly. So what are you doing?
You
know, just because we come from different parties, it doesn't mean that we always have to criticize and fight. And they always come with an agenda to lie or to say something and to fight. Every single panel. And it would...
This will be Sohail the judge out here now.
It was pulled down by Indian National Congress. It was not an agency. It was a video taken from a college.
Did I mention
pulled down by Indian National Congress.
I did not. I said we did. I'm not denying it. And I'm telling you why we're doing it.
He says due to a copyright takedown notice we received, we had to take down your video. Video title, Mil Gaya Rahul Gandhi ke Pappu Hone Ka Saboot.
Basically, it was a viral video. Everybody was downloading it and they were trying to shut down the source of it.
No.
So they turned down to their dirty trick department.
Not at all.
So it
shows, can I say
basically
something?
It shows the intent of the party.
Can I say something? There are many videos of Mr. Gandhi out there that make fun of him, and we have no issues with it because we don't own that content, okay? If you want to use it by all means.
You don't own this content also. But he acknowledged also. It is not their content.
Look, it's
just
like
because
this,
they
right?
technically uploaded it on their channel, they are doing dirty tricks departments.
On social media, the content we post, I think it comes down to a very ethical issue. What is okay to post? What is not okay to post? What is defamatory to somebody and what is not defamatory to somebody? Whether the thing that you're posting is communal in nature or whether the thing that you're posting will is abusive or incites violence or incites hatred. And, or even things about the kind of video that we just spoke about. It honestly just comes down to straight up ethics. What are you using social media for? The government can put regulations, the government can, and then we can go on in year-long court cases. I mean, I have filed 50 different cases on 50 different kind of trolls, and they were all straight up rape threats, and they were all straight up explicit rape and death threats. And what's happening to it now? Nothing. You can put regulation, but then at the end of the day, it all comes down to regulation.
Well, that then was the NDTV Conclave for 2018. Of course, the 2019 edition is already starting to look absolutely fantastic. I'm leaving you with some other big moments. You can't really fit it all into one show, but we'll try our best. This was the best of that we haven't shown you yet. How many of you people have ever taken a Facebook quiz? Okay, keeping those hands up, which is 95%. Do you realize that each of you have already been hacked, right? So you and every friend of yours, that data was already sucked out. So those millions that have been going through this entire situation in India, and most of you have done it on your mobile phone. So the amount of data that came from within is just the start of what we eventually may end up with.
Okay, now he's picking up his mic either to throw it at me or to get the first punch in.
No, I've always known your inability for mathematics, so I just let that pass.
Okay. Fine.
It's ironic that you have a person who's feeble in mathematics chair a technology conclave.
Yeah, I know. I feel that same way, but I haven't introduced him yet. But I'm about to. Rajiv Makhni, my partner in crime in many technology shows. So this is the Technology Conclave, Rajiv. It's a big fight, so we actually get the chance to throw things at each other for once.
That one doesn't have the 4 minutes, so let's not do that. Yes, this is my first ever big fight, and he asked me here because he said the TRPs for his normal big fight are really going low.
No, sorry, that's not the reason I asked.
Well, what he told us was that this is a cerebral show, and given quotas in our country, they've now got you on as well.
Right, absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
That's true. Also, the fact that being the moderator of the show, I can ask for your mic to be dipped whenever I want to, which is such a relief. Such a relief.
Whoever does the maximum amount of counts, according to my technology, of number of push-ups on stage. Come on, it's a fitness and technology talk. I mean, what did you think I'm going to ask you to do out here? We can get any and one of them to give you. Luke, a quick demo of the perfect push-up. Huh? Yeah, no, Luke is going to give you the perfect demo with me sitting on him, on his back. Okay, now look at that, right there. Wow, perfect in every which way. Give him a big hand. That's the perfect push-up. His nose literally is, and his neck is not moving at all. All right, let's go. 1. And a 6. We'll count the 6. And a 7. Wow.
He really wants the band.
Yeah, this is. Okay, stop showing off, yeah. Ho gaya, yeah. Just throw that to him. Don't keep it with you. Yeah. Right in front. Yeah. All right, here we go. Perfect. Okay, not perfect. Okay. If you'd caught it, it would be perfect. But you have to use the mic now. It's not a prop. Yeah.
So one question is, so I'm a dancer myself and I gym regularly as well. So, the thing that I face is gymming has helped me transform my body as to the goal that I want. But when I dance about 3 to 4 times a week, I feel a lot fitter.
Before you get some really good professional advice from them all, can I give you some advice? When you're live on TV in a show like this, never ever say that you're a dancer. The next thing will be that you'll be asked on stage. Because, you may just be fibbing, yeah? Whoa! Wow! Come on, give him a really big hand. He deserves the best answer now possible, yeah?